for several weeks now, this here Waymo, or at least a Waymo like it, has been driving down and circling my street about every 10 minutes between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. And I don't like that. It's not picking anybody up. It's not dropping anybody off. It's just a clanker out here using the road. Now, I believe that financially, what Waymo has determined. Now, I believe what Waymo has financially disturbed. It says stop, so I'm stopping. Allegedly, authorities are in the way. I'm sure this is the lowest of priorities for Austin Police Department. So, I actually have been at this for a few minutes now. I've managed to get this Waymo to back up from maybe 300 yards down that way and continue to back up. And a little bit up there, I actually have a safety cone that I will be... Where'd it go? There we go. Yes, that safety cone right there, which I plan to use to get a corner robot here. Because that... At least according to the internet, hilariously, I asked Jim and I, like, what can I do about this? And so, one clanker's ratting out on the other clanker to me, saying, if you put a safety cone on it, that'll defeat its safety mechanisms, and then they got to get a person out there to come rescue the robot because it doesn't know what to do. Now, it's possible that doesn't work anymore. It's possible that I'll get this to back up, the other couple hundred feet to where the safety cone is, and then I'll put the safety cone on the Waymo, that it'll shake it off and drive off. It's totally possible. The suspense is terrible. I hope it lasts. Now, as I stand here, it will eventually honk at me. It has honked at me several times, which from a regulations perspective, a robot just shouldn't be allowed to do. Like, honking's for humans. Honking's for humans, straight up. It's not for clankers. Neighbors are looking at me like, what are you doing? But that's the only way they look at me. Like, how I live my life? The number of times that I'm dancing on the picnic table in my front yard in front of my house that's a mural. This is probably not the best idea to just broadcast to the internet my house, but I'm gonna do that anyway. The robot has seemed to want it to decide to stop moving. It's not backed up anymore, surprisingly. Now, I'm not gonna do anything illegal, because I don't do anything illegal. Look at me. Do I look like somebody who does illegal things? And Waymo's argument would be they're not doing anything illegal. They have a vehicle that's licensed and insured to operate on Texas's roads, and that they're operating it, regardless of the fact that it's not for hire and not performing any useful purpose. Because what I do believe here is that Waymo's, they got accountants. Like, I have a master's degree in business. I actually have 2 master's degrees in business. I have a Master of International Business degree, I have a Master of Science in Entrepreneurship, and I've got $86,000 in student loans to demonstrate that was a terrible idea. Seriously, guys, Google is free, YouTube is free. YouTube isn't free. Pay for ad-free YouTube. That's like, I'm gonna tell you to get one subscription. It's to YouTube Premium, because YouTube is like, oh, now the Waymo's moving just a little bit, just backed up a hair. Because YouTube is the best base of human knowledge and instruction there is. And it's really funny to me, like, Skillshare, bless your heart. You're gonna advertise on YouTube. You're gonna tell me you got great places on the site, I don't usually flip off drivers on the road, but ain't no driver. And I'm allowed to freely express myself. It's a public street. Also, wherein any of y'all who are fans of the app Signal should recognize this string of emojis. If not, Google them. Yeah, back up. Such short steps as it backs up now. If that was going to work, it would work by now, which is actually, so I was out on 4th Street, end of the night with my mom, who was visiting over Mother's Day, and we decided to go out at 4th Street. We hit up Oil Can Harry's, we hit up Cabana Club, and we had a lovely time, danced through the night, up until about 2 a.m., and actually got a Waymo home. Oh, this is funny. Now down at the other side of the block, what do we see? It's another Waymo waiting behind a school bus. So I thought that was this same Waymo coming up the block, coming up, turning around, and going down that block, and that they had changed the route on me. If that was gonna work, it'd work by now. That they'd changed the route on me, because I've done this before. I posted the video of me putting the cone up on the clanker here. Yeah.
I'm planning to move, but need more space.
But, you know, there was a human driver behaving not really any differently than this clanker over here is. And he was in his big old pickup truck. Not this Avalanche, just, you know, a truck of similar girth. On 4th Street, honking his ever-loving brains out. Because there was a car double parked, and he needed to turn right. Now, I spent half the year in New York City. If there's a car double parked and you need to turn right, what do? You go around. You go around. And you turn right from the center lane. Because somebody else has done a wrong thing. That's all. You don't make yourself an issue and pollute the air for everybody else by honking. You get in the lane that's moving. You move through the lane that's moving. You turn at the intersection. But this pickup truck operator, I'm not going to use any demographics. You know, Clanker, if that was going to work, it had worked by now. But this pickup driver here on 4th Street was doing like this, you know, rather than using his brain, which, you know, assumptively he had. He was just laying on his horn, and I went up to him because I was waiting on my Waymo. I had like 10 minutes, and just like turned on my cell phone light. I could have filmed him. I didn't. Usually when people see the flashlight on your cell phone, they assume that you're recording. That's what they assume. And because they assume that you're recording, their behavior changes, which I hate flock cameras. I don't like those clankers either. But Flock Cameras has sold their whole product to the U.S. taxpayer under the presumption that your behavior changes when you know you're being monitored. That's why their cameras are more inconspicuous than they otherwise could be. Right. So I come up with my cell phone on a flashlight, and because he's got his window up, and I come up like that, and he rolls his window down, and I just say, "Hey, what's going on?" And he says, I'm trying to get around here. And I'm like, okay, well, you're laying on your horn quite a lot. And he's like, well, yeah, they won't move. And I'm like, I can see that. What you're trying isn't working. You're polluting the air around us with your honking. And I think you should consider another strategy. And he says, oh, you're one of those. I said, one of those what? And he looks, thinking he's being recorded, and he says, one of those weirdos. And all I could tell him is, well, yes, I am. I suggest you stop honking. I tell him have a good night. I walk over to where I'm going to get my Waymo. He does not honk again. I got in my Waymo, and my Waymo had left 4th Street while he was still waiting behind the same double-parked car, behind the same light that had turned red and green maybe 4 or 5 times, because this fella was not willing to drive around the car in the center lane and turn right at the intersection. Fact is, when somebody else is making an ass out of themselves and driving illegally, you have the ability to either, one, wait for perhaps ever, like the robot's doing. And the robot should only have that option. The robot shouldn't violate any traffic laws. But if you're a human, you're not a clanker, you have the opportunity to use your judgment, because you have judgment, and say, hey, this isn't working. I could lay on my horn and make everything worse for everybody else, or I could use my judgment and go around. Which the robot doesn't do, because the robot doesn't have judgment. You can't use judgment because it doesn't have it. That's how robots work. At least, yeah. Aw. You recognize the cats? Previous stars of the channel behind me? You remember I interviewed this one about the Electoral College? He's a very talkative orange cat that whenever I get bored of this or manage to actually unicorn this Waymo, because like I said, I'm waiting for it to back up enough that I can grab that cone right there. Because I returned my cones because another Waymo shook off the cone. That's actually the epilogue to the video that I posted previously, was that the Waymo continued moving after I'd put the cone on the front of it and sort of did a shimmy shake right before it turned left, which it might have done otherwise. I don't know. I'm not going to ascribe causality. But the robot shook off that cone and kept going. And so I asked Gemini, because, you know, I'm going to let clankers rat on crankers. Hey, this didn't work. The collapsible traffic cone you recommended to me did not correctly disable the Waymo. And it said, well, it's probably that the LiDAR picks up better on the hard rubber of non-collapsible cones. Or you got the positioning wrong. And again, to be abundantly clear, there's no crime in putting a traffic cone on a Waymo. That's not an act of vandalism. It's just not. People put little flyers on your car in parking lots sometimes. That, depending on your local bylaws, can be a criminal offense. But at worst, putting a traffic cone on a Waymo is equivalent to that. And I'm not even sure then. Because you're not damaging the vehicle, you're not attempting to damage the vehicle, and of course any human driver could go out and take that traffic cone off and keep driving. And if you don't have a human driver, well, tough luck. Ooh, are you gonna honk it again? You gonna honk at me again? You're gonna act like a fart. Come on. Oh, don't tease me. It has decided that it doesn't want to back up. I think maybe it's got a limit to that. There's not anything like right behind it. There's not. So, you know, I've thought for a long time that I'd be great in the Senate, right? And that's partially that I care about the United States Constitution. I care about our representative government, and mostly that I feel like I'm a real good filibuster. And what I'm doing right now is I'm filibustering. I am speaking until I cannot or get bored or something more interesting happens, which, let's be honest, that's all a filibuster is. I watched a lot of the filibuster back in 20 whatever it was, Obama administration, about the National Defense Authorization Act. I believe that was the filibuster I watched a lot of, because it was a long one, which Rand Paul stood for quite some time. It was maybe a dozen hours. I'm not Googling it right now. If you'd like to Google it, you can use the computer you're watching this on, which may be a phone or may not, to Google that. It's also said authorities are on the way for at least 30 minutes now. So, you know, it's you can Google how long Rand Paul's filibuster is, when it occurred. That was also the first time that I really had any solid knowledge of who Ted Cruz is, meaning that as it happened, I was live watching Ted Cruz read Green Eggs and Ham as a question to Senator Rand Paul, because that's how filibusters work. A truly surreal thing to experience on a, I believe, a CNN live stream is how I watched that. And, you know, filibusters are a uniquely, fascinatingly tedious body of politics. Because it's sort of like you have this control that is really just based on, am I willing to not be a dick about people that I have to work with? And that's the thing about the Senate, is the Senate, at least traditionally, has been the more fraternal of the two houses of Congress. It has been the one where folks are on a 6-year term, so they're not constantly campaigning. There's fewer of them. There's only 100. And it's been the one where typically cloture, at least until Harry Reid screwed it all up with the nuclear option, that cloture has taken 60 votes. And so as a result, Senate, for most of American history, has been the fraternal body. Rather famously, I believe it was Bernie Sanders, and I want to say Chuck Grassley. It was Bernie Sanders and some Republican senator played basketball regularly, at least until Bernie Sanders decided his knees were not up for playing basketball anymore. Or so the story goes. Because that's the Senate for you. You know, these people know each other. They're fairly close with each other. I think a really good indication of that, even into the modern era, is for Secretary Rubio's confirmation. Secretary Rubio was confirmed by the Senate 99-0. It was unanimous. Somebody was sick. You can Google who that is. It was unanimous to confirm Secretary Rubio, even in what I would personally claim, and I think it's difficult to argue, was the most controversial presidency of American history. Rubio was nonetheless confirmed by the Senate 99-0. Why? Because he's a senator. Because Rubio's had a whole career in the Senate of working with other people, working across the aisle, because that's how the body works. And so, given that is what the body of the Senate is, a filibuster is even more extreme of emotion than, because we used to have filibusters in the House. That's actually a fun fact about American history, is there was the filibuster in the House of Representatives, and it got gummed up enough that we stopped doing that. And there's talk, Democrats have published their plan at Project 2029 as a answer to Project 2025 of, if we get all the votes, here's how we're going to just decide to govern the government in unprecedented ways, which I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The idea that the government just belongs to whatever party can generate a slim majority, and that they have the full ability to make lawmaking regardless of precedent, that's a dangerous one. And you can decide that describes what the GOP has done or not, but it's definitely a problem if Democrats decide, oh, yeah, we're going to do that too, because they perceive that as being done. Because we spent a while in this country in the spoils system. In fact, we got out of the spoils system on a lucky break. We got out of the spoils system because a dude who was not mentally well, nothing against folks who have mental health struggles, I do personally, I believe a lot of you watching this do as well. And when I say a lot of this, as if there's not one person watching this. Good morning. Hey, how may I help you?
Well, you're blocking the car. What's going on with you?
Oh, yeah, the same car's been driving down my street 6 times an hour. I've reported it to them, and I've reported it to police.
Okay. Well, it's a Waymo. It's a driverless car.
Yeah.
They drive around.
Yeah. Am I violating any law?
Well, you say you're in the road. You're blocking a car.
Aren't you?
Well, we're talking. We can get on the sidewalk if you prefer.
I mean...
Stop. Authorities are on their way.
Okay.
Yeah. I am audio-visually recording. Do you consent to that? Yeah. Okay, good.
So what's the issue?
Like I said, this vehicle has been, without permission of anybody on the street,
Authorities are on their way.
continually adding noise and adding traffic to the street with no driver, no rider, no cause to do so.
Authorities are on their way.
And I did not agree when I moved into this neighborhood to be part of a Silicon Valley experiment. I didn't. And we are a country that operates on consent of the governed, do we not?
For the most part, yes, sir.
Okay. So...
But they were authorized by the people that
Authorities
were
are
elected
on their
in
way.
office to allow this to occur.
Yes, and as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not violating any traffic laws.
Stop.
You are, sir.
Authorities
You're in the
are on
roadway.
their
You're
way.
blocking a vehicle.
Currently, I am.
Obstructing road. Not currently, but when I got here, you were.
Okay. I immediately, as soon as I was instructed otherwise, stopped doing so.
Stop.
So I'm complying with all lawful orders.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, what's the outcome of it?
It costs Waymo more to have a vehicle that's stopped on my street rather than have one that keeps moving. And they're probably going to move it to another street because all they're doing is storing these without paying the city. is storing these. They're using the public roads for their private benefit, and I don't believe I can change their behavior in terms of what they do to the city of Austin, but I believe that I can protect the children and the cats and my neighbors from this robot apocalypse here. Because do you want this to be your neighbor? Do you want your home to have this going on every single morning? Do you? Okay, well, I'm happy to hang out here for as long as you do. I'm no longer in the roadway, and neither are you, so we can hang out. Okay, well, we'll wait till the car leaves. No, I'm going to stay right here because I'm not in the roadway. I do also want to say I understand this isn't how you want to spend your morning, and I thank you for your service to the city of Austin.
Yeah, the gentleman's exit the roadway and do not break the How long you lived over here?
8 years. Yeah. Proud homeowner. Chose a neighborhood with no HOA because I like to do with my property what I want.
That's what I should have done.
You still renting?
No, I own.
Are you in Austin or where you at?
I'm south.
Oh, like Kyle?
Yeah, further south.
Where?
I try not to. I
Oh,
don't want to put on my personal.
oh, I can mute it too if you're gonna anything. Yeah. Well,
It's over
Coke.
an hour away.
Oh, that's a hell of a commute. And they have you working a lot of overtime too because of no new cadet classes, right?
No, we're pushing them through.
Okay. So there is a new
there's-
cadet class now.
Yeah, they're smaller and they're, doing.
Okay,
their
then
thing.
I haven't been paying close enough attention because I hadn't heard that they'd actually gotten a new one going
Yeah,
yet.
no, a lot of overtime I cut because they got rid of a lot of the specialized units,
Mm.
like detective stuff. They got more back to people on patrol and eliminated a lot of like the street level, like investigative type stuff.
I got mixed feelings about that because I feel like the governor for a while was having DPS pull up a lot of that way, right? He was having them do things like basic traffic control and citations.
Yeah, there is still a bigger presence.
Yeah, so it
around.
almost seems to me like if the resources are, just as a taxpayer, if the state's paying for DPS and basic enforcement, I'd prefer my taxes to go to investigating crimes. If the idea is police to prevent and reduce criminality and make us live in a safer community, that seems like a poor allocation of resources. And I understand that's not anything you can do much more than I can about. We're both taxpayers and voters, and that's about all.
It's different, just how you want to look at it, because like it puts more actual patrol officers on the street to respond to calls and deter the immediate stuff. But as far as like a lot of the undercover.
So what portion of calls would you say are coming from the Philippines, like this one?
Very few.
Okay, because like as an American citizen and as a taxpayer here in Texas, I don't want my resources going to Filipinos calling on behalf of a robot. That seems like a real violation to me as a human being, as an American, and as a Texan.
Yeah, those are things you have to address with.
Oh yeah, I have the right to redress my government. Yes,
Yeah.
all we're doing right now is creating content, and you can go back in your car as soon as you feel like not being content, and I'm happy to chew the fat, and if I was more easily able to do, I'd put on a pot of coffee. I'll probably put one on in my home here in a little bit, but I I invite law enforcement. You're just doing your job, and I was really when it said calling authorities, I'm like, are you actually? Because if you're at Dollar Tree, they got those flashing red and blue light things. You know those?
Right.
If you hang out by one of those, because I was just doing some texting in my car,
Yeah.
they'll tell you that they're calling authorities.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're actually networked to ever do that.
No, they do.
They are. Okay,
Yeah,
that's news to me.
They're video monitored.
Okay.
Like,
is that also
they're
overseas in the Philippines? Is that also somebody who's not American doing it?
Each company's different. Like I couldn't even begin to tell you who calls us.
Well, I don't like that American companies get to spend taxpayer resources using non-Americans. You see where that really grinds my gears as an American, as a taxpayer, and as a Texan?
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean,
so, if they're going to call you, they should call you from a call center here in Austin. If we're going to have these on Austin's Road, at the very minimum, they ought to be able to pay somebody a living wage here in Austin, and we know how much that is, to do that, and not $2 a day in the Philippines. Because that's immoral. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's what President Trump tried to do for a while, to give people incentives to bring jobs and put companies back to the stateside.
And that is the carrot. And I personally, we've tried the carrot. We tried the carrot since before NAFTA. We've been trying the carrot as long as I've been alive. I think it's about time we tried the stick, because they've shown us they won't learn. We've outsourced every factory in Ohio over to Beijing. We're not even making our own pharmaceutical drugs anymore. When I get my name-brand prescription, it costs me $600 a month. You know where that's made?
I'm assuming China?
India. Which, China's cleaner. Let's be honest. I've been to India.
Yeah,
it's not where I'm at for my pharmaceutical drugs being.
Take you at your,
yeah, no. It's but we used to make these, not even in mainland America. We made these in Puerto Rico, and then somehow those tax incentives got thrown by the wayside. And so rather than having Americans, and Puerto Ricans are Americans, if there was a Puerto Rican on the phone in the Waymo, then I'd be fine. That's American. I've dated Puerto Ricans, whatever. But it really crossed my grits to see things we don't have a choice about being outsourced and overseas. Because if an American says, hey, I would rather pay somebody in the Philippines, and they make that decision, that's one thing. But when a company with taxpayer funds, or making use of taxpayer funds, uses non-American labor, it's treason. I mean, we're on the losing side of an opium war with China, aren't we? 70,000 fentanyl deaths last year?
I believe it.
Yeah, we're losing that.
Yeah, the whole thing is, you could do it, but it's probably not financially feasible, because, all those costs get passed on to consumers, so...
They do.
If you do everything here, and you pay more labor fees.
Well, think about 50 years ago.
It all gets passed on to consumers. So
but 50 years ago, we made everything here. 50 years ago, we made everything here. 50 years ago, if you had a union job, doesn't matter what you were doing, you could raise a family of 5 on a single income.
Sure.
I had a friend over the other day, lives in Cincinnati, works for Kroger. She works 40 plus hours a week at a union job at Kroger. She makes $18.50 an hour. You know what her rent is?
Probably like $1,800.
She's in a 1-bedroom, so it's $1,400. Okay. She can't afford a vehicle, and that's a union job. And the fact is, 50 years ago, you could get a new built house, an American automobile. You could get union-made clothes made here in America on a single income for 5 people. And today, despite all this shit that's supposed to be cheaper, all this outsourced offshore crap, we can't afford it. But we keep seeing the high scoreboard go up and up and up. So are we making the entirety of America a winner-take-all system for immigrants, because Elon Musk's an immigrant, and other non-Americans? I don't like that, personally. Yeah. And I think that our country owes our people better than we've been giving them.
I would agree with that.
And how we get there. Now, me personally, I was on the board of the Austin Young Republicans previously. I've been involved in the party, and less involved right now, mostly due to health issues. That's unfortunately the fact that I'm not doing anything right now at almost 8 a.m. is because I'm on disability leave. So I'm in a position to be more bothered by little things going on my street. In the same way that you might be bothered by 8 teenagers in the middle of the road making noise and adding chaos to your street, I am by robots. And I think if there were 8 teenagers on your street, shooting the shit, playing dice, whatever, in the street, you'd come up to them. Because I would, and I come up to the robot. No different. But it's a pleasure to meet you, Officer Moreno.
All right, sir. What was your name?
Ian.
Ian? Pleasure, man.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right, well, you have a great day, Ian.
You too.
I'm going to take off, okay?
Yep. I hope you have something more interesting to do.
That's why we get paid.
More interesting, but safe, by the way.
Yeah,
Be safe out there. See ya. So it turns out they can call the authorities from the Philippines, apparently.